Hello, you're watching TVP World News. I'm Jonasz Rawiński. Police in Moldova have raided over 100 targets amid a Russian meddling investigation. Over 70 people were detained. Moldovan authorities carried out scores of raids on Monday over alleged Russian-backed efforts to destabilize the country. The raids come ahead of a parliamentary election on Sunday, which officials believe the Kremlin is trying to influence through meddling. The high-stakes vote could have sweeping consequences for Moldova's bid to join the European Union, a process it says Moscow is attempting to derail through tactics like disinformation, organizing mass riots and vote buying. The National Police said investigators, alongside security forces, conducted 250 searches against more than 100 people, but did not specify any political affiliations. And we're staying on this story. Moldova's President Maia Sandu has accused Russia of trying to interfere in the country's upcoming elections. Her remarks follow massive police raids across the country, targeting individuals sowing Kremlin-backed chaos. Sandu's pro-Russian opponents dismissed the allegations as political theater.
The Kremlin is pouring hundreds of millions of euros to buy hundreds of thousands of votes on both banks of the Dniester River and abroad. People are intoxicated daily with lies. Hundreds of individuals are paid to provoke disorder, violence and spread fear.
Maia Sandu and her Soros government are trying to scare the citizens. Hundreds of daily searches, attacks on our colleagues from the districts, once again show Maia Sandu and passes fear of the election results.
Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said Poland will act decisively to protect its security against repeated Russian incursions. His statement came as the UN Security Council met at Estonia's request. The 3 Russian jets entered its airspace last week. The incident was one of several recent violations reported in the region.
Poland will not hesitate to defend its skies, said Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, warning that Warsaw is ready to, quote, take any decision against airspace violations.
We are ready for any decision aimed at destroying objects that may threaten us, such as Russian fighter jets, if they, for example, fly over our territorial waters.
As Poland reacts to Russian hybrid warfare, so does the international community. Across the Atlantic, the UN Security Council was called into session by Estonia to address what Tallinn says was a dangerous breach of its airspace on Friday. 3 Russian MiG-31 fighter jets entered NATO skies and remained there for 12 minutes.
We are here today because this incident concerns not only Estonia, but the entire international community. This outrageous violation of the territorial integrity of Estonia was preceded by Russian drones violating the airspace of Poland and Romania a short while ago.
If these were accidents, why not immediately acknowledge them and apologize? We have given Russia a pass in the past in such circumstances. But we have not heard any apologies, only lies.
This marks the second UN Security Council emergency meeting on Russia in just 10 days. Poland requested the first after Russian drones crossed into its territory overnight on September 10th, penetrating deep into Polish airspace. Days later, Romania reported another incursion. On Sunday, German Eurofighter jets scrambled to intercept a Russian reconnaissance plane over the Baltic, whose transponder switched off and ignored all calls. Moscow dismisses the claims.
Эта паранойя достигает невиданных высот.
But with repeated incidents, NATO interceptions and Russian denials, many say deterrence still looks shaky.
The fact that President Trump does not seem to be willing to really inflict any kind of consequences on Russia for anything for the last 8 months, I think that also is what emboldens them.
And that this ambiguity only benefits Moscow.
They understand only, I think, a strong approach. Just to remind you that a couple of years ago, Turkey hit one Russian plane, and that response was pretty visible and sound, and Russia did nothing. So they stopped their flights in vicinity of Turkish border, and no violations happened after that.
Late on Sunday, Trump was asked if he would help defend Poland or the Baltics if attacked by Russia.
Yeah, I would.
But as violations mount, the pressure is shifting from statements to action. For NATO, credibility may soon hinge not on words, but on what happens next time a Russian jet crosses the line.
I have only one request to the Russian government. If another missile or aircraft enters our space without permission, deliberately or by mistake, and gets shot down and the wreckage falls on NATO territory, please don't come here to whine about it. You have been warned.
For TVP World, I'm Maia.
No Russian aircraft should invade the airspace of NATO, says Dan Francis, a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council. While speaking to TVP World, Francis claimed that recent Russian drone incursions into the alliance's airspace show that the organization is largely toothless when responding to similar threats.
What has to happen now? This is really annoying, what Putin is doing. It's demoralizing and it's testing the system. And it's going to make the system less resilient when an actual attack does come. So I think that not only should they be told point blank that no Russian aircraft should ever invade the airspace of a NATO country, and that they will be warned to get out immediately and if not, shot down. But I think also they should probably charge the Russian government for the cost of scrambling all the jets so far. All of these planes potentially could have had some terrible weapon on them that they drop. This is not just fooling around and testing. This is a national, international danger to allow them to be in our airspace because they are a lethal, immoral country.
Armenia is hosting the 108th Rose-Roth Seminar of the NATO Parliamentary Assembly, with delegations gathered in Yerevan to discuss regional challenges in the South Caucasus and explore new partnerships. Our correspondent Diana Skaya is on the ground in the Armenian capital. Diana, what have the discussions centered on so far?
Well, you know, Jonas, we just listened to earlier reports about NATO unity and resilience against, of course, against Russian drones violating European airspace. But it's not only touching Europe. Russian provocations are also touching the South Caucasus. And a lot of those discussions were the focus here at the NATO Parliamentary Assembly in Yerevan, Armenia. For the first time, what we've been seeing here also since the signing of a joint declaration between Armenia and Azerbaijan with the United States last month, for the first time, we have these three countries' delegations present here together, talking about future cooperation in the region, but also talking about not only cooperation and the positive outcomes, but also trying to discuss the challenges, including what you just said there, Jonas, earlier on, the Russian hybrid warfare threat. I mean, this morning, one of the talks and names was actually called Russia's security hybrid threat. Is it actually effective? Just to show you how much it's really impacting the region here. But I also got the European ambassador to the EU, Vasilis Maragos. What he mentioned on the side was that the European Union had allocated 207 million euros for more further partnership with Armenia. But another thing that came out of this was I spoke to the U.S. ambassador to Armenia, where she had a key address here, and she mentioned what the United States has given to Armenia since the so-called peace declaration was signed. Let's listen in.
On September 11th, our senior bureau official, Mr. Hanrahan, who is here in Armenia, announced that the first tranche of money that would help support implementation of both the memoranda and the joint statement would be passed to Armenia. It will total $145 million, and we look very much forward to using that to help advance all of the projects that we outlined in the memoranda and the joint statement.
And one of those projects, of course, will be the creation of the Trump route for peace and prosperity, but also other projects, including peace relations in the region, and of course, more normalization projects between Armenia and Azerbaijan to bring these countries closer together. However, it is important to note that many experts here on the sidelines have said that it's still a long way to go. It's not going to be an easy path. Education is going to be key here into getting these two countries to normalize their relations, particularly after the second Nagorno-Karabakh war. Back to you, Jonas.
Diana Skaya, live from Yerevan, the capital of Armenia. Diana, thank you very much for being here with us today. Now, overnight, Ukraine carried out a series of drone strikes on Moscow, prompting a temporary suspension of operations at the Russian capital's airports. Emergency services were quickly dispatched to the sites of fallen drone debris and reported no casualties. Now, as stated by Moscow's mayor, Sergei Sobyanin, dozens of unmanned aircraft were downed over Moscow last night. As of 9 a.m. local time, 34 Ukrainian drones flying towards the Russian capital were reportedly shot down by air defenses. According to Russia's defense ministry, all in all, 69 Ukrainian drones were shot down last night over 9 Russian regions. And now the Russians also report the occupied Crimea as a Russian region, which of course is incorrect because Crimea legally belongs to Ukraine. Now, the attack prompted authorities in Moscow to close the airspace over the city and suspend operations at nearby airports. Planes scheduled to land in the Russian capital were forced to fly at very low altitudes due to the drone attacks. It's worth mentioning that in some cases, Russian reporting on drone incidents like that is not entirely reliable because the Russians say all the drones were shot down, but with later evidence emerging that some of them might have actually hit their targets. So very much a developing story there in Moscow. And with this, we conclude this edition of TVP World News. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.